When people talk about a glow up, they usually mean something they can see. The skin gets clearer, the hair looks better, the body gets stronger, the clothes fit just right. And sure, that kind of glow up feels good. There's nothing wrong with wanting to look like the best version of yourself. But the real glow up, the one that actually changes your life, doesn't to start with your reflection in the mirror. It starts with the relationship you have with yourself when no one's watching. Because here's the truth. You can fix your hair, hit the gym, change your wardrobe, and still look in the mirror and feel empty. You can become physically radiant, but emotionally exhausted. And that's because we've been taught to chase external glow before internal peace. We think that if we change how the world sees us, we'll finally feel better inside. But the reality is the opposite. Real glow-ups start in the mind. They start when you stop performing for the world and start being honest with yourself. When I talk to people who feel stuck, one of the first things I notice is that they read not lazy or broken. They read disconnected. Disconnected from their emotions, from their purpose, from the part of them that once believed in something. And so they try to rebuild themselves using the wrong blueprint. They change what's on the outside without changing the story inside. But healing and growth are inside jobs. You can't glow externally while you're still at war internally. A real glow-up is the process of coming home to yourself. It's the journey of looking at every part of you, the pain, the guilt, the mistakes, the insecurities, and saying, I'm not running from you anymore. It's learning to sit with the discomfort that you used to drown out with distractions. It's about becoming so deeply aware of who you are that the world's opinions stop defining you. The truth is, so many of us are trying to build confidence by collecting achievements. We think, if I just reach this goal, lose this weight, get this job, or make this person love me, then I'll finally feel good about myself. But that's not confidence, that's conditional self-worth. That kind of confidence is fragile because the moment the condition changes, your worth collapses with it. Real confidence, the kind that glows from within, comes from self-trust. It's built through the moments when you show up for yourself even when no one else is watching. Every small promise you keep to yourself is a brick in that foundation. Waking up on time when you said you would, putting the phone down and journaling instead, taking care of your body even when it's inconvenient. These small moments create integrity. And integrity is what makes your glow unshakable. Because when you trust yourself, no external circumstance can dim you. The problem is that most people are trying to heal and grow in an environment that constantly tells them they're not enough. The internet makes it look like everyone else has already glowed up. Perfect bodies, flawless routines, aesthetic morning coffees, but none of that shows you the truth. Behind every perfect glow up online, there's usually pain, comparison, and a desperate need for validation. We've mistaken performance for progress. So if you want to glow up in real life, you have to start by defining what glow actually means to you. Is it peace? Is it authenticity? Is it living a life that feels like yours, not one you're performing for someone else? Once you define that, everything starts to shift. Because a glow-up is just a change in appearance. It has a change in vibration. It's the energy that radiates from you when you're aligned with your truth. It's the calm that replaces anxiety when you stop forcing yourself to be someone you're not. It's the quiet confidence that comes when you realize you don't need to chase validation. You just need to live in alignment. Let's be honest. Life in 2025 is exhausting. People are mentally overloaded, emotionally drained, and spiritually starving. We're overstimulated but undernourished. And most of what we call self-improvement is actually self-rejection dressed up in productivity. We're trying to fix ourselves instead of understanding ourselves. That's why so many people keep repeating the same patterns. They wake up motivated, make big plans, but fall back into old habits because they never address the emotional wounds underneath. The real glow-up happens when you finally stop trying to change out of shame and start changing out of love. When the motivation to improve yourself comes from compassion, not self-hate. I want you to think about this. How much energy have you spent trying to be someone else's idea of beautiful, successful, or happy? How many times have you looked at yourself through the lens of comparison instead of curiosity? That's what kills your glow, not failure, not mistakes, but constant self-judgment. You can't hate yourself into a version of yourself that you love. Self-love isn't a feeling you wait for. It's a skill you practice. It's the daily act of choosing to treat yourself with respect, even when your mind is screaming that you don't deserve it. It's making choices that align with your values, not your impulses. It's forgiving yourself for the things you did when you didn't know better, because you were trying to survive, not sabotage. And once you start doing that, something subtle begins to change. You start glowing differently. You start walking into rooms with a quiet energy that people can feel even before you speak, because real glow isn't loud. It doesn't need attention. It's calm, grounded, present. It's the kind of energy that makes people feel safe just being around you. A lot of people think a glow up means becoming more confident, more successful, more attractive. But sometimes the real glow up means becoming less reactive, less people-pleasing, less afraid. It's not about adding layers. It's about peeling them back. Because what you were looking for isn't outside of you. It is underneath everything you've built to protect yourself. And that's where the healing begins. Healing isn't always glamorous. It's often lonely. It's crying at 2 a.m. because you're finally facing what you've avoided for years. It's saying no to people who drain you, even when it makes you feel guilty. It's breaking patterns that once kept you safe, but now keep you small. That's the messy part of the glow up that nobody posts about. The phase where everything you thought you were starts falling apart. And it has to, because you can't build a new version of yourself on top of old pain. The old self has to die for the new one to be born. It's not destruction, it's transformation. Think of it like pruning a tree. When you cut off the dead branches, it looks harsh at first. It looks like you're taking life away. But what you're actually doing is making space for new growth. That's what your glow up will feel like sometimes, loss disguised as liberation. And while that process is happening, your mind will fight it. It'll say things like, "This isn't working. You're still the same. You'll never change." That's just your ego trying to protect its identity. Because even if your old habits were painful, they were familiar, and your brain is wired to prefer familiar pain over unfamiliar peace. So if you feel resistance, it doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're growing. That's why you can't rush your glow up. You can't skip steps. The outer transformation will always come as a reflection of the inner one. The more you understand yourself, your triggers, your patterns, your emotions, the more power you have to change them. And that's when your glow starts to feel real, because it's no longer dependent on anything external. It's just who you are. The world has convinced us that to glow up, we have to become something extraordinary. But maybe real growth isn't about becoming extraordinary. Maybe it is about finally allowing yourself to be human, to feel, to rest, to breathe, to stop apologizing for taking up space. Because when you accept yourself as you are, you stop fighting reality. You stop wasting energy pretending to be perfect. And that energy, the energy you used to spend on self-criticism, becomes available for creation, for love, for joy. That's what lights you up from the inside. The glow-up that lasts is the one that starts when you finally get tired of your own cycles. When you wake up one morning and realize that you don't want to live life on autopilot anymore. That's the quiet moment when change begins, not with fireworks or motivation, but with awareness. You look at your life honestly and say, "I can't keep doing this." That one honest thought carries more power than any self-help book ever could, because awareness opens the door to choice. For years, you might have been chasing things that never gave you peace, chasing people, chasing validation, chasing the next milestone. You thought those things would fill the void, but they never did. You felt that fleeting high when something went right, but it always faded, didn't it? And so you started chasing again. That's the trap of external validation. It keeps you in motion, but never in meaning. The glow you're looking for doesn't come from chasing. It comes from slowing down enough to feel what you've been running from. The truth is, many of us learned to disconnect from ourselves because feeling was too painful. Maybe you grew up in a house where emotions weren't safe. Maybe you were told to toughen up, to stop being sensitive, to always be productive. Maybe no one ever taught you how to rest without guilt. So you built your identity around achievement, around doing more, proving more, becoming more. You learned that love had to be earned. And even now, as an adult, you might still be carrying that belief that you have to earn your worth. But here's the reality. Your worth was never something to earn. It was something you were born with. The only reason you can't feel it is because you've been conditioned to doubt it. You've internalized the world's standards of success so deeply that you forgot how to hear your own inner voice. But that voice is still there, quiet, patient, waiting. The glow-up happens when you finally start listening to it again. That inner voice doesn't demand perfection. It doesn't shame you for your past. It just whispers, "Come home." It invites you to stop trying to be who you think you should be and start becoming who you already are. The real glow begins when you stop trying to escape your own humanity. When you can look at your flaws, your fears, your failures, and instead of judging them, you get curious. You ask, what are you trying to tell me? Because every negative pattern you have, procrastination, overthinking, self-sabotage, isn't proof that you're broken. It's evidence that something inside you is trying to protect you. That inner critic that calls you lazy or unworthy is just a part of you that is scared. Scared of rejection, scared of failure, scared of pain. When you start to see those parts not as enemies, but as wounded protectors, you stop fighting yourself. And that's when healing accelerates. Think about it. You can't glow up while you're at war with your own mind. You can't move forward if every step is taken with self-hate. The mind doesn't change through punishment. It changes through understanding. That's what most people get wrong. They try to force growth. They think discipline means suppressing their emotions, but real discipline isn't about control. It's about compassion. It's about saying, I understand why you're scared, but we're doing this anyway. That's when you begin to see real transformation, because your body starts to relax. Your mind starts to open. The parts of you that used to sabotage your progress begin to cooperate because they finally feel safe. And that safety is what allows change to last. When I talk about glowing up, I don't mean pretending to be positive all the time. I mean becoming real. The people who truly glow, you can see it in their eyes. They've been through pain, but they didn't let it harden them. They learned how to feel deeply without drowning in it. They learned how to let go without losing hope. That's real strength. Maybe your glow-up doesn't look like anyone else's. Maybe it doesn't come with perfect skin or a six-pack. Maybe it looks like finally setting boundaries or learning how to rest or walking away from people who can't meet you where you are. Maybe your glow-up is quiet, a slow rebuilding of your self-worth after years of self-neglect. That's still powerful. That's still valid. There's something magical that happens when you stop performing and start being. You start to notice little moments that used to pass you by. The morning light feels warmer. Music hits deeper. You laugh more easily. You start to feel your aliveness returning. That's what I mean when I say real glow. It's not about appearance. It's about presence. Presence is when your mind and your body are finally in the same place. It's when you're not reliving the past or rehearsing the future. It's when you're here. That's when life starts to feel vivid again. Most of us live our lives 2 steps removed from the moment, scrolling, comparing, thinking, planning. But the more you come back to the present, the more you begin to realize that the peace you were chasing has always been right here. So, how do you glow up in real life? You stop outsourcing your joy. You stop waiting for someone or something to make you feel enough. You begin to take radical responsibility for your energy. That means asking yourself, what am I consuming, mentally, emotionally, physically? Because what you consume shapes who you become. If you spend hours online comparing yourself, you're feeding insecurity. If you surround yourself with negativity, you're feeding fear. But if you spend time nurturing your mind, body, and spirit, you're feeding your glow. It's that simple, not easy, but simple. A real glow-up isn't a sudden transformation. It's 1,000 small choices that align you with your higher self. It's choosing to eat in a way that supports your brain. It's choosing to move your body not to punish it, but to celebrate it. It's choosing to spend time with people who make you feel grounded, not drained. Every choice is a vote for the person you're becoming. And yes, some days you'll slip. You'll fall back into old habits. You'll feel like you've made no progress. But that's part of the process. Healing isn't linear, it's cyclical. You revisit old wounds at deeper levels each time. That's not regression. And that's refinement. Every time you fall, you learn something new about yourself. You grow stronger, more self-aware, more compassionate. When you understand that, you stop giving up so easily. You stop expecting perfection and start celebrating consistency. Because the glow up doesn't come from one big leap. It comes from showing up again and again, even when you don't feel like it. That's how you build momentum. That's how you rebuild trust with yourself. And slowly you begin to see it. Not just in how you look, but in how you carry yourself. You speak more gently. You listen more deeply. You start to care less about impressing people and more about expressing truth. You laugh without needing permission. You forgive yourself faster. That's the energy of someone who's finally free. And freedom, that's the real glow. Not freedom from pain or challenge, but freedom from self-sabotage. Freedom from pretending. Freedom from the story that says you're not enough. That's what radiates through your eyes. That's what makes you magnetic. Because when you truly accept yourself, people feel it. They may not know why, but they're drawn to your energy. Here's the thing. Glowing up isn't about becoming untouchable. It is about becoming whole. You'll still have bad days. You'll still doubt yourself sometimes. But you'll move through it differently. You'll know that a bad moment doesn't mean a bad life. You will know that healing isn't about never falling. It's about learning how to rise with grace. And when you reach that place, you realize something profound. You were never really broken. You were just buried under expectations, fear, and self-doubt. The glow-up isn't about adding light. It's about removing the layers that blocked your own. When you finally understand that, everything softens. You stop rushing. You stop forcing. You start living. You begin to see that you don't have to chase your glow. You just have to create the conditions where it can naturally emerge. Like a flower that blooms when it's ready, not when it's told. And maybe that's the secret to a real glow-up, patience. The willingness to let your growth unfold at its own pace. To trust that even when it's dark, something inside you is still growing. To believe that you are becoming even when it doesn't show yet. Because one day you'll wake up and realize that the glow you were chasing has become your natural state. You'll look in the mirror, not to check how you look, but to connect with who you are. You'll realize that you no longer need to prove your worth because you finally feel it. And that feeling, that quiet, steady peace is the most beautiful glow of all.